I'd like to do this last song, and then I've got a special person to introduce. So please bear with me. I want to wait and introduce him after the song, if that's all right. Listen to the song, and you'll know who I'm going to introduce, I think. The name of this song is Stetson Kennedy. 1916 Jacksonville. A child was born that couldn't sit still. 87 years later with no regret. You know that man can't sit still yet. The Great Depression couldn't get him down. He worked for his dad's store in town, collecting money in small amounts from poor whites and blacks for their furniture accounts. Stetson Kennedy wants us all to be free. Stetson Kennedy wants us all to be free. As he'd collect, he'd talk to folks. He'd hear legends, tales, songs, and jokes. So this fine treasure he'd record and write. He was colorblind, didn't see black and white. The writer's project for the WPA was Zora Neale Hurston. He earned his pay. To crackers and blacks, they'd talk for hours. It was a barefoot history of this land of flowers. Stetson Kennedy wants us all to be free. Stetson Kennedy wants us all to be free. Spent his life fighting old Jim Crow, couldn't let it go. Human rights were the seeds he sowed. Spent his life fighting old Jim Crow, couldn't let it go. Human rights were the seeds he sowed. Fascism was fought in his own way. Went underground, joined the KKK. Revoked the charter, embarrassed the Klan. On a radio show about Superman. He's had radical friends who've admired his might. Woody Guthrie, Pete Seeger, Richard Wright. Now Stetson's declared he won't mellow with age. Tyranny still met with his outrage. Stetson Kennedy wants us all to be free. Stetson Kennedy wants us all to be free. Wants us all to be free. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, someone who is not only a hero to Florida, but a hero to the United States, who is a hero to the whole world, one of the bravest men that ever lived. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Stetson Kennedy, right down here in front with Frank Thomas.
Frank promised me I wouldn't have to say anything, but I think I'm so overwhelmed, no problem about that. You know, it takes a brave man to write a song about another man he's never met, so I do want to thank Steve. I take it as a sign I must have done a little something along the way. And I'm also kicking myself for not having been with you every year, you know, and I'm going to try to do better in the future. Like the old saying, you know, I'll see you later. I'll see you later and speak to you greater. But anyway, I'm just so proud to be here at long last and to compliment you for doing such a magnificent job of keeping this Florida culture of ours alive and well and running. Those of us who have, for one good or bad reasons, one reason or another, tried to record folk culture and annotate it and look for variants and feed it back into the mainstream. I, for one at least, am obliged to envy those of you who are so actively engaged in creating it, and not only creating it, but performing it and disseminating it and perpetuating it. You know, it certainly beats just writing about it and taking a look at it. Was honored to have Arlo Guthrie in Jacksonville the night before last doing a concert. My place up in St. Johns County between St. Augustine and Jacksonville has been designated a literary landmark because of Woody Guthrie having spent so much time there hanging out. And he composed a song, Beluthahatchee Bill, not nearly as good as Steve's, but it was Woody. Yeah, I told Steve when I heard about this thing coming up tonight, I didn't know it before, that he was number 5, and you know, with his song about me, but certainly didn't expect such an epic as his, and I'm very grateful for it. But anyway, back to Arlo. It was a benefit concert to help establish my place, not just as a literary landmark, but hopefully as a place where things like this can happen. I don't have any such facilities yet, but hopefully they're going to set up a Kennedy Foundation and be devoted to not just folk culture, but also human rights and the environment. So it will be hopefully a busy place, and then all of you will eventually end up there in some fashion or another. I remember Woody wrote me before we had met, said, "Don't be surprised if I come staggering up to your place someday with my guitar, and we'll have a good long talk." And so he did. Spent a lot of time there and wrote his autobiography, the last version of it there. But I was asked to say a word or two night before last, and what I said was that there will never be a generation that will not need to hear what Woody had to say. And from that, it follows, of course, that it's going to be up to us to keep legacies like Woody's alive and strong, and to pass it along. And that, of course, is what you're doing to Florida folk culture, keeping it alive and strong and passing it on. And all I can say is carry on. I'll see you again.
Steve Blackwell and the Punta Gorda Army. All right. I'm so glad he